Today, we're going to talk about a strange object called the Ludion, which requires a very high level of concentration to manipulate. It also works with a virtual string hidden under the bottle. If you approach it in a state of credulity, make it go down, make it go up to the rhythm of your thoughts. This deeply counterintuitive experiment is often performed like a magic trick. Thanks to science, I am Obi-Wan Kenobi. But the one pulling the strings behind this sleight of hand is not the great Master Yoda, unfortunately. Although to pull off this feat, you still need to have the buoyant force. Because behind the magic of the Cartesian diver lies Archimedes' principle, named after the scholars who studied it for the first time more than 2,000 years ago. Archimedes' principle is just a fancy name for an everyday phenomenon. It helps explain hot air balloons, submarine ballasts, and even divers' buoyancy vests. We also find it in the animal world through nautiluses, which are able to control the amount of gas trapped in the chambers of their shells to adjust their buoyancy. It helps us understand why a bottle shoots up like a rocket when we put it in water. Why thin people float less easily than heavier ones. But it doesn't explain why, in general, when you get into a bathtub, the phone rings. The origins of the Ludion experiment are unclear, but evidence of it dates back several centuries. It can be found in the sublime work Elements of Natural Philosophy, confirmed by experience by Willem Jacob, published in 1726. At that time, it was called the Cartesian diver. Let's see how it works. Ludions can look very different in appearance and shape. To make one at home, you need a brain, a water bottle, water in a big transparent container, and a hollow object with air inside. A glass bulb, a pipette, a plastic pen. Next, you need to adjust the Ludion so that it barely floats in the water, like this. To weigh it down, use paper clips, wire, whatever you have. Now you've become a magician for next to nothing. In short, the principle is always the same. Air trapped in a precisely weighted object. When you discreetly press on the bottle, you apply pressure to the water. But water is an incompressible fluid. It pushes against the air trapped inside the object and compresses it. The volume of the air decreases, and the buoyant force, which is proportional to the weight of the displaced fluid, becomes weaker than the force of gravity acting on the object, and it sinks, like the aquatic broom of a fantastic submarine. When the pressure is released, the air expands, restoring the strength of the buoyant force, which makes the object rise. If the two forces are equal, they remain in equilibrium. In short, science doesn't break the magic, it reveals it. Archimedes' principle, revisited. Any body immersed in a liquid, if it hasn't resurfaced after half an hour, should be considered lost. Archimedes' principle lets you see objects float on something invisible, right here. Thanks to all the gardeners of this journey, we enjoy the shade today because someone planted a tree long ago.